If you're spending all of your time simply trying to make everything perfect, then are you really making anything at all? And kind of let me explain that for a second. So I remember when I first started creating content, or even way before content, when I first started doing photo, I didn't understand the basic concepts and foundations of photography and the laws and the rules and how things worked. I was just out taking photos of things that I enjoyed, whether it was a tree in the woods or my friends or just something else along the way. But as time went on and I started learning more about the principles and some of these guidelines that you take with photo, and I started seeing a wealth of photographers' work out there, I started comparing that work to them and deciding that internally, without even knowing it, that everything I had to put out going forward needed to be perfect. And maybe that's true in some cases when we're talking about portfolios or things like that. But if we're just simply creating for ourselves, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's because life itself isn't perfect. Everything around us is far from so. And when you're trying to push yourself towards everything being perfectly in line and exactly how you think it should be, really what you're doing is just limiting yourself. Me, for example, I use a Fuji X-T3 and I have an 18 to 55 millimeter lens. That is the widest lens that I have. So right now I'm shooting on a GoPro. It doesn't look near as good in the footage as far as my Fujifilm does, but the thing is, it gets the wider angle that I wanted. It doesn't have to be a perfect video as long as I'm achieving something that I want out of it. I think far too often, especially creative people like us, we get caught up in this mindset that things aren't good enough, that we aren't good enough. And maybe that's a reflection of trauma or something that happened earlier in our lives. Or maybe it's just that we hold ourselves to certain standards. But I think sometimes it's okay to let that guard down and just have fun with stuff. Because I think that ultimately joy and happiness driving your passion and the things that you're working on is the single most important thing to think about. It's not having the most perfect piece in the world. Those things will kind of come because, again, everything can't be perfect. Everything is going to be subjective anyhow. But if your main driving force is to do something because you truly want to, because you felt compelled to do it, that is why you should be doing it. That's the whole purpose of me making this video. I just felt a compelling notion that I needed to create something. I didn't know what that something was going to be, but alas, here we are. And instead of trying to make the perfect script and the perfect video with the best lighting and the best camera and just the best audio and overall situation, I simply just let myself go and create something to get off my chest. Now, this message may resonate really well with you. Selfishly, I am making this message for myself, but if it's going to help anybody else out there, even if it's just one person, I think that's phenomenal. Anyhow, just some thoughts I had while I was in the shower a minute ago. Hope it helped you out. As always, be sure to create something new today.